At 3:10 in the morning, alarms went off inside a US-linked airbase in Saudi Arabia. Seconds later, something hit. Not one impact, multiple. And at least 10 American troops were suddenly down. No warning on screen, no interception in time, just impact. So how does a protected airbase in one of the most monitored regions on Earth get hit like that? That is the question no one is answering yet. Because this was not just a strike, it was a message. This happened during ongoing Gulf operations. Tensions are already high. US forces are spread across multiple bases. Iran has been using hybrid tactics for weeks. Drones, missiles, proxies. And this base was part of that network. But that is not the real problem. Early reports suggest a mix of drones and short-range ballistic threats. Low altitude, fast approach, hard to track, harder to stop. Air defense systems are designed for big threats, high-altitude missiles, long-range trajectories, but these came in differently. Closer, lower, possibly coordinated. And this is where things change. When multiple systems arrive at once, defense gets confused, radar sees clutter, operators have seconds to decide what is real, what is a decoy, what gets priority. Miss one, and it gets through. That is likely what happened here, but this is the part most people miss. Forward bases are not built like homeland defenses. They are faster to deploy, lighter, more flexible. That also means less layered protection. Some rely on systems like Patriot or short-range interceptors. But coverage is not perfect. There are gaps, angles that are harder to defend, moments where reaction time is just too short. And Iran knows this. This was not random. It was targeted pressure. A way to show that even outside direct war zones, US forces are reachable. And that creates a bigger issue, because now every base becomes a potential front line, but it gets more complicated. Iran does not always strike directly. Sometimes it uses aligned groups. Sometimes it blends signals, cyber noise, electronic interference. This makes attribution slower, response harder. And delay changes decisions. Because if you're not 100% sure who hit you, how do you respond? And that hesitation matters. The injuries matter too. More than 10 troops affected. That number may shift as reports update. But even one is significant because it shows something failed. Either detection, interception, or timing. And in military terms, that gap is everything. Now think about the bigger picture. US forces are spread across the Gulf, supporting operations, protecting routes, deterring escalation. But these bases are fixed points, predictable. And anything predictable can be studied and eventually exploited. But here is where tension really builds. If strikes like this continue, pressure builds on response. Too weak, and it invites more attacks. Too strong, and it risks escalation. There is no easy middle ground. Every decision now carries weight, and every delay sends a signal. So what is the real takeaway? If this strike happened the way early reports suggest, then even well-defended forward bases are vulnerable to coordinated low-level threats. Not massive missiles, not large-scale war, small, precise, timed. And that changes how modern conflict looks. It is no longer about overwhelming force. It is about finding the gap and hitting it at the exact right moment. Right now, more details are still coming in. Officials are being careful with what they confirm. But one thing is already clear. This was not just about damage. It was about exposure. Exposure of timing, of defense limits, of how thin the margin really is. And the next question is the one no one can answer yet. Was this a one-time breach or the beginning of a pattern? Because if it is a pattern, then the next strike might not just injure, it might hit something far more critical.